Hi, algebra students. It's Dr. Chitwood here. I hope you all are staying healthy and staying busy, and we are gonna work through this together. Um, and I know this is different times for all of us, but just know that I'm here for you if you have any questions. Just so you know, we're going to kind of finish up Chapter 8. Chapter 8 has a couple weird sections in it, 3.7 and 6.3 in it, because it all kinds of goes with functions. And yeah, we're going to kind of take this day by day. Know that you can always email me if you have questions. My office hours on Zoom, you can look up on that document that you were sent to see what hours I will be on Zoom if you have questions. And we're going to get through this, so no stress. We're going to do our best, and I hope we will get to be back to school soon. So let's carry on with 3.7, graphing absolute value functions. Now, we did this way back when in chapter 3. I don't know, what was that? Probably October or November when we did chapter 3. So this is very similar to graphing quadratic functions, but now they're just absolute value functions. So how do you find your vertex? Remember, your vertex is h comma k, just like in quadratics where h lies and k tells the truth. Your axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of your vertex, so it's x equals h. And then your y-intercept, just like always, plug in 0 for x and solve for y. I should mention, if you forgot to bring your note packet home over spring break, you can download another one off the email you were sent, or just write this stuff on a separate sheet of paper. I know it's going to get kind of tricky if you don't have it when we get to these graphs, but all you can do is do your best. So for each of the equations, provide the indicated information. So is it positive or negative? Remember, we're looking at this a value, and that's a positive 2. So it is positive. Keep hitting the keyboard with my hand. So sorry, I'm going to try to stop. Which means it's going to open up. Remember, absolute value function is a V shape. Okay. Your vertex, h lies and k tells the truth. Say your vertex is 3, 7. And then the axis of symmetry, x is equal to the x-coordinate of your vertex. So your axis of symmetry is going to be at 3. 2, that negative symbol right there, that's your A, so it's negative. So your graph is going to be pointing down. Your vertex, h lies, so that's negative 4. K out here, if there's nothing written, it's a 0. And your axis of symmetry is x is equal to your x-coordinate of your vertex, which is negative 4. Number 3, 1/2 is a positive number, so this absolute value function is going to be pointing up. Your vertex, h lies, once again, there's nothing in there with that x, so that's 0. K tells the truth, 0 minus 5. Your axis of symmetry is x is equal to 0 because it's the x-coordinate of your vertex. 4, 5, and 6, we just need to find the y-intercept. So remember, to find the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. The absolute value of 0 minus 3, that's the absolute value of negative 3, which is positive 3. I'll write this out so we don't get confused. So this is going to be negative 1/3 times positive 3, since the absolute value of negative 3 is positive, which means a negative third times 3 is negative 1. That means your y-intercept is 0, negative 1. Same thing on 5. 3 times the absolute value of 0 minus 2 minus 1. Always do that absolute value first. So 3 times the absolute value of negative 2 minus 1. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So this y-intercept is 0, 5. Absolute value of x, the absolute value of 0 is just 0. And 0 plus 4 is 4. So this y-intercept is 0, 4. Which of the following could be the equation for the absolute value graph? Justify your answer. Well, first of all, it is a V shape. So this automatically eliminates B because there's no absolute value bars in option B. Okay, now let's look at the vertex. Our vertex is positive 2, 1. Remember, H lies. So in my equation, I'm looking for negative 2. And K tells the truth, so I'm looking for positive 1. So negative 2, positive 1, that's the only one that works right there. Oh, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're all learning here. It's all good. All right, so number 1, H is, oh, 4th hour's over. Huh. H is -4, K is -3, so this means it's shifted left 4 because of -4, and down 3 because K is -3. Your vertex is just H comma K. Your axis of symmetry is the x coordinate of your vertex. A is positive up here, so your graph's going to be pointing up. The y-intercept, remember, plug in 0, so the absolute value of 0 plus 4 minus 3. Absolute value of 4 is 4, minus 3 is 1, so your y-intercept is 0, 1. Your domain is always all reals. We'll worry about the range here in a second, but let's plot what we know. So -4, -3 is right here. 0, 1 is right there. Your axis of symmetry is there. So if my y-intercept is 4 to the right of the axis of symmetry, I can go 4 to the left of my axis of symmetry. And there is my graph. Now I know I said we needed 5 points, so we could go back in and plug in -2. Let's do it just to make sure we're good. So plugging in -2 would be absolute value of -2 plus 4 minus 3. So the absolute value of -2 plus 4 is 2. Minus 3 is -1. So this point I plugged in -2, I got out -1, and looky there. That means my graph was pretty darn close. Your range, it's got to be above this point on the y-axis, so y has to be greater than or equal to -3. All right, what I really want you to do on number 2 is hit pause. I want you to try to fill in this box with all your information and graph it, and then hit play to see if you did it correctly. Okay, I'm going to go over it in detail, but I want you really to try it first. There are no practice problems for this in your homework packet because this is all review. So these are the only practice problems you really have for this section. So hit pause, fill this out, hit play, see if you did it correctly. All right, I'm going to go over it now. Your H is 1, your K is 0, your shift is 1 right, that's it. Your vertex is 1, 0. Your axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1. A is positive. It's going to be pointing up. Your y-intercept, plug in 0. So 2 times the absolute value of -1. The absolute value of -1 is +1. So 2 times 1 is 2. Oops, so this should be 0, 2. Domain is always all real. And your range is going to be greater than or equal to 0. It's always the y-coordinate of your vertex is the range. So that's a little fun fact. All right, so let's plot. 1, 0 is right here. Your axis of symmetry is at 1. Your y-intercept is at 0, 2. Reflect it. And then we need to plug in a point. Let's pick +3. So 2 times the absolute value of 3 minus 1 is 2 times 2, which is 4. So this is the point 3, 4, since that's what I plugged in. Reflected, it's 2 away, so it's 2 away over here. Now, you must make sure your graph looks like a V. I know I've been stressing to you to make sure your quadratics look like U's, but when you're graphing absolute value functions, it has to look like a V. How'd you do? Do okay? If you're confused, please email me. Number 3, same thing. Hit pause. Try it on your own. Hit play. See if you did it right. H is It's really hard to write when you can't put your palm on the screen. I want you to know that's what I'm struggling with right now, but I'm going to figure this out, just like you're going to figure out this whole online learning thing. So H is 0, K is -1, so your only shift is down 1. Your vertex is 0, -1. Your axis of symmetry is x is equal to 0. A is negative because that is a negative sign right there, so you're going to be opening down. Your y-intercept is the opposite of the absolute value of 0 minus 1. The opposite of 0 is just 0. And 0 minus 1 is -1. So your y-intercept is 0, -1. Domain is all reals. Remember, the range is the y-coordinate of your vertex. And since A is negative, it's going to be y has to be less than or equal to -1. So here is your vertex. Here is your axis of symmetry. Y is less than or equal to -1. What else do I need to plot? Those are the only points they gave me. So how do I get 4 more? You got to plug in numbers. So let's plug in 1. So the opposite of 1 minus 1 is -1 minus 1, which is -2. So that is the point 1, -2. Reflect it to get a third. Now let's plug in 2. The opposite of the absolute value of 2 minus 1 is -2 minus 1, which is -3. So this is the point 2, -3. Reflect it to get your 5th point. Now we have 5. Make it look like a V shape. And you did it. Good job. That's it for today. There is no practice problems. And we will pick up with 6.3 the next time you watch a video. Have a good day.